Hey everyone, welcome back to another Free League update. We're going to be talking about all the things that we have planned for 2023 and beyond. Of course, as you know, recently we just launched the Walking Dead universe role-playing game on Kickstarter. It's doing phenomenally well. And if you haven't backed it, or if you haven't taken a look at it, go take a look. I believe I put the link in the comments below, or in the description below. Yeah, we're really excited, but there are some concerns that maybe we're not working on other lines as well. So we thought we'd do an update and kind of give you a rundown of what we've got planned for this year and beyond. And I've got Tomas on, of course, as always, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first, I'm going to say, if you enjoy these updates and you appreciate Tomas giving his time to kind of keep the community informed as to what we've got going on, hit that like button down below. And of course, if you're just tuning in for the first time, feel free to hit that subscribe button, because we just really like to, connect with our community. Before I take this graphic off, I'm going to just bring on Tomas to kind of talk a little bit about The Walking Dead. Tomas, thanks so much for joining us.
Hello. Hi. Thank you.
Look at this Kickstarter that we got going on over here.
Yeah, it's looking good, doing well. So it's fun to see.
Exciting stuff. Really awesome seeing.
It's actually kind of nice. I mean, usually, I've been running quite a few Kickstarters myself, and this one, I'm involved, but I'm not in charge of it, because that's Matthias, who was on yesterday. So I'm kind of watching this one a little bit from the side, which is a nice change for me.
Nice. Yeah. No, if anybody is curious or would like some more information about this Kickstarter, we did a session with Matthias and Joe yesterday. Feel free to click on that link, and it's rather long, but it was some great discussion. We had a great time. The community really came out for that one, and it was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Tomas, 2023 is here, and it's just been. I know I've done quite a few events for y'all, and they've been super busy. And I know it's been super busy at the office. We made this announcement about the Walking Dead Kickstarter, and people kind of were like, "Wow, there's another IP that Free League is putting out. Are they kind of ignoring some of their other titles that they've got out? That they've already established?" And we were talking behind the scenes via email, and we're like, we should probably let everybody know that Tomas and the crew, they're working hard, even though you don't see it because it's all in the office. They're working hard on a lot of things back there, and I figured we'd talk.
Yeah, it's a good idea to just kind of because it's one thing what things kind of look like from the outside, and sometimes you forget that, being kind of involved in running around doing all kinds of things. Just you sometimes kind of fail to realize what it looks like from the outside, maybe. So we figured it'd be a good time to invite you all in a little bit to let you know what's going on, basically.
Sure. I think I've got the list in somewhat alphabetical order. So let's dive right in if you're okay with that.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Let's start with A for Alien. Alien, of course, that was still super popular. It's doing really well in sales, and it seems like I've done a lot more pop culture events this year, and have quite a few planned for later on this year. And Alien still grabs a lot of people's attentions, and they're it's surprising to see how many people that are new to this line, and it's still just incredibly popular. You want to talk a little bit about what we have planned for the Alien line going forward?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm working on two new things. One, I think we've mentioned before, is a colonist explorer book, kind of in the same style and size as the Colonial Marines handbook that we did. This one is focused on colonist explorers. It's a big book, like a campaign book. I've been working on editing the text now in the last few weeks, ever since the turn of the year, basically. And it's a pretty hefty project, and the art is coming in. We have a cover for it. So it's coming along. I don't really know exactly when we'll be able to share the complete. I mean, usually the way we do these things is that we run a pre-order, and at the same time we release the PDF, and we want to do that with this one as well. And that's going to happen I don't have a date for that, but I would guess sometime like May, I think. It needs to be completed, of course, and it needs to be approved before we can, and since this is a licensed game, it needs to be approved first. It takes a couple of weeks normally. So yeah, I don't have a specific date, but that one is coming up on pre-order before the turn of the half year. That's definitely the plan, unless something very strange happens. And then on kind of in parallel with that one, we're also working on a new cinematic scenario, similar to Heart of Darkness and the others. This one will be a little bit different. We are trying some new things. I mean, we're happy with the cinematics as a concept, but we feel we can do things. Now, we've done 3, and we feel we should, mix it up a bit. I won't go into details yet because we kind of have to get all of that approved as well, and just be sure we're doing the right things. But we have some exciting new things that we want to do with the cinematics that we should be able to announce also. I mean, definitely in the next couple of months. When this cinematic 4, as we call it internally, is coming out, we don't have a date yet, but hopefully both the Colonist book and this new cinematic would be done out in physical form before the end of the year, hopefully. But we'll get back to you with specific dates. But those are the 2 things we're doing for Alien at the moment.
Excellent. Should we also mention that a lot of our lines have individual teams that kind of work? I mean, they all kind of report to you and Matthias, but we do have folks that kind of work on each individual line as well. So it's not like, I guess people are kind of concerned that there's only one Tomas and Matthias, and only one Matthias and one Nils, and y'all are kind of spread a little bit thin. But it looks like you've got quite a few folks that maybe are helping on that.
We do, yeah. I mean, for the Collins book is largely written already. It's a combination of writers, and we're David Seamark is now doing like the last bits. Nice. So he's working on finishing that one up. And then for we have a new writer for the new cinematic. We'll announce that when the time comes. And then like the Walking Dead is a game by Nils Hintze, who did Tales from the Loop and Vaesen. So that's, I mean, of course there is an editing process that requires our attention and work. But I mean, in terms of writing, we have separate teams for that. Yeah.
Now, at the end of last year, we put out Blade Runner. It's been selling rather well. Again, it's another popular IP that as I do some of these non-traditional gaming conventions, people are really excited and drawn to it, and it's awesome to see people that aren't typical gamers be drawn to titles like Alien and Blade Runner and get them into the hobby. And I think Blade Runner is doing a phenomenal job of introducing more players and providing players with kind of a unique RPG experience. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Blade Runner plans going forward?
Yeah, sure. What we want to do there is that we have like 2 separate tracks. One is to do more case files, because Blade Runner has the challenge of its investigation style game, and that kind of requires cases to solve. So it's not perhaps the game in when you play it in this way is not the best kind of improvisational game. It's more it requires more of a thought out, planned plot to kind of pick apart and investigate. So we're definitely doing more of those. That's on me. I'm working now on the second case file. We hope to be able to announce that fairly soon, at least in during the spring here. And there is also another type of product that we are looking into. We'll get back to that as well. But we have always said that the core game focuses on playing Blade Runners, but we also want to open the game up to play other types of characters. And we have an idea for a campaign book along those lines. And we'll hopefully be able to announce that too now, during the spring, I would hope. So we're working on both of those tracks at the moment. I mean, we all wish it could go faster. I wish we had the second case file out now, but it's it takes a bit of time. But we do have, more case files, and also this other type of campaign that we want to do. And I think this other type of campaign is a bit more easier to wing and do a bit more fast and loose than the case files. So we want to make it possible to play the Blade Runner RPG without having these intricate case files also, even though that I think is a great and fun way to play the game. It can sometimes be, kind of demanding on it's not so easy for a game runner to just throw it together and something quick. Something it needs to be kind of thought through. So we want to do more case files and expand the game in other ways, and that's kind of what's happening behind the scenes.
Now, someone asked in the comments early on if there are, is there a, oh yeah, right there. Let me find it here. Sorry about that. Someone was asking about sharing case files, creating case files on their own and sharing them to the community. Is that something that we're looking at doing? Is that something that has been discussed? Oh, how will it be possible to create fan-made Blade Runner case files and share them with the community? That was what the question was.
The way these things work, since it's always a bit more to it when it comes to licensed games. So basically, anything that is published for the Blade Runner RPG needs to be approved by our licensor. So that means we can't do community content easily as we do for some of our own games. So that we can't have a officially published fan content or community content. That doesn't really work for any licensed game, not just this one. However, if people write scenarios on their own without using, logos and other things, and just share them with other fans for their personal enjoyment, we're not going to come chasing after people who do that. So that's,
sure.
Just if it's just for personal use, people creating stuff and just sharing it with other gamers, for fun and not for any type of profit, and not using art logos and stuff like that. I mean, we're not going to come hunting. So I mean, that's that. I think that's. But we can't really have official community content in that sense.
Yeah. Midnight Platypus actually asks, will we ever get solo play rules for Alien and Blade Runner? And can they be called Ripley and Gath mode, respectively?
Yeah, it's a great idea. Yeah, definitely. We have discussed it for Blade Runner quite a bit. I think that it would work quite well. I mean, Blade Runner does work well on one-on-one. It's not a solo play. It's like have GM or GR and a player. It works well in that format. But a completely solo game would require a structure to play that is a bit different from most solo systems, which are very improvisational, and that again is not really how Blade Runner is structured. But yeah, we are looking into that, and for Alien, it's also like a Ripley mode would be really cool. So it's not. I can't say it's like something we're actively working on at the moment, but it's certainly stuff that we have been talking about and trying to find a way forward if we could do, because I think it's a good idea.
Right, let's get to another title another product line that has been super popular, especially since Alien launched, and people are kind of going back and realizing that we also put out another sci-fi RPG, and this one is one of our oldest titles that we've been putting out. It's called Coriolis. And people are wondering if we have any plans after this Wake of the Icons book that is coming.
Yeah, Coriolis is kind of really a part of the heart and soul of Free League, since the name Free League is from Coriolis originally. That's where the name comes from. It's a faction in Coriolis. Since the original Free League started out as a bunch of freelancers writing for the first original version of Coriolis that was done by Team Janringen, who is now part of Free League. It's complicated, but anyway, it's very much part of the origin story of Free League. So. And now it's a completely, again, it was originally created by members of Free League or people who are now members of Free League. And it's our own, completely fully owned, our own IP, as they say. So it's not a license or anything. So that means we have complete control, and it's also something that is fully our own. So we're definitely sticking with it. And as you said, we have the first and foremost, which is quite something, the Wake of the Icons book, the final part of the Mercy of the Icons campaign. So that is now on pre-order with the PDF being sent out, and it's printed. I think we already got like a copy here, but anyway, it's being shipped out to warehouses and will go out to pre-orders and then into stores. I think April or May. So it's coming, and that is a big book with a lot. I mean, if you play the Mercy of the Icons campaign, you have plenty of stuff to do there. But that's certainly not the end of Coriolis as a game. We have a pretty big plans for that. There's actually, I'm not in the loop on that so much because usually they go into this room where I'm sitting right now. It's like Nils and Costa and Martin. So kind of interesting is Martin Griep, who's known mostly for doing our art. He is one of the project managers for this new Coriolis project that we're working on. So they are keeping things under wraps a little bit. So I'm not sure what's going on, but it's sounding it's going to be interesting to see what they come up with. And I think we'll be able to announce something. I mean, definitely this year. So we'll see.
Very nice.
Yeah. Probably not before Wake of the Icons is released. So probably after that. So summer, early fall, something like that. I think we'll have some exciting news on the Coriolis front.
Very cool. Excellent. This is another Kickstarter that we launched last year and did phenomenally well. And I know you've sent backers the PDF. It's not even out yet, but I'm going to ask an update for Dragonbane for maybe the Kickstarter backers or those that are curious or looking to pick it up once it is in print.
Yeah, I'm actually finalizing, or our graphic designer Dante is finalizing the print files right now. So we're basically sending it to print as we speak. And we made some final fixes to the game, the small stuff now. So we'll send out updated final PDFs to the backers soon. We will probably do like a PDF release thing now in the spring. Of course, backers will get the final PDFs first, but then probably have a general digital release of the game before the physical game is released, which will hopefully happen in August. It takes a bit of time to print and ship these boxes. So August around Gen Con time is what we are aiming for. And we have a bunch of fun expansions planned for that one. We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, at least 3 expansions kind of in the works. Work is starting out on those, all 3 of them. I'm not sure which one will be first, and we'll have stuff. We'll probably hold off on announcing anything until we know for sure, and most likely we might not have so much to say before the game is released. So, but definitely early fall, we should have new exciting stuff for that game to talk about.
Excellent. Of course, Forbidden Lands is a line that we've got some releases coming up later this year. I believe we've sent the Book of Beasts and the Blood March to print. I don't know if you want to give folks an update on those and when those might be expected to retail and into distribution later this year.
Yeah, I think they're done printed now. We have copies. We just received some samples here at the office. It takes a bit of time for the main shipments to reach the warehouses before we can ship to backers, but that's happening right now. So I think, this is a delayed Kickstarter, which we've been speaking about many times. But finally, I think these books should start going out hopefully during April or at least early May, but now in the next month or so, we should start. Backers should start getting these books. I think they're looking great. They have that nice feel, the kind of black and white, kind of nice thick old book feel that all the Forbidden Lands books have, and so I think this will really be a massive, since it's the Book of Beasts and the new campaign book, the Blood March. It's a pretty major expansion and a development for Forbidden Lands. So that's happening. Beyond that, we're talking to Eric Gronstrom, who wrote the Blood March and Raven's Purge and the campaign setting material for the core game, on another campaign book beyond that. So that's kind of starting out. We don't have too much details on that yet, but it's in the works with the next one. So stuff definitely happening there as well.
Is that something that we'd probably go to Kickstarter again with, and maybe put it at, is that more likely a 2024 project?
Yeah, the next one by Eric. Yeah, it's not. I mean, since Book of Beasts and the Blood March are coming out now mid 23, I don't think the next one will be out this year. So it's most likely next year. Yeah.
Okay.
We Kickstarter or not, maybe we'll see.
Okay.
Or just a normal pre-order thing. We'll see. It kind of depends.
Sure. Believe it or not, this next property, this next line that I'm going to put on screen, Thomas, is like one of the most talked about properties that we have at convention. Like, people always ask about this. Like, it's crazy how popular this Mutant Year Zero. Oh, I totally misspelled that. Sorry.
That's okay.
Mutant Year Zero is like, something's going on behind the scenes that people are excited about this property, and they're super. It's seeing this huge resurgence over here in the States. I don't know how it is over there in Sweden, but I'll order a few copies. And
it's kind of interesting because this is, one of our oldest games. So our oldest game that is still in print and in production, and it's going on next year. It's going to be the 10th anniversary. It's going to be 10 years old next year, which is cool. I mean, and it's still doing well. And and it's also, we talked about Coriolis being part of that sort of heart and soul of Free League, and Mutant Year Zero is definitely that as well. That was one of our first games we did. Team Janringen, they also did a version of Mutant. The original version of Mutant is the first RPG I ever played, so it's definitely very much ingrained in our very fibers. So and right now the focus for Mutant Year Zero is Zone Wars, which is the miniatures game, which we kickstarted last year, and it's being worked on right now. We're actually playtesting in the scenarios for that a lot here at the office. It's kind of a thing we do, and it's kind of fun and fast. You can play a scenario in an hour and a half maybe, and it's just a lot of fun. And I think it's revitalized. I mean, we always loved Mutant Year Zero as a franchise, but working with Zone Wars now has been so much fun and just inspiring to do. And definitely the line doesn't end there. We do have plans further ahead for Mutant Year Zero as well, but that's a bit of a way of a little bit further into the future. But first and foremost, Zone Wars is going to be a lot of fun, and also kind of continues the story, because there's the different books, Mutant Year Zero, Gen Lab Alpha, Mechatron, Elysium. They all kind of tie together into a story. That's how this game universe kind of came to be, and Zone Wars continues the story. So they're all it's very tied into the RPG as well.
Excellent. Yeah, it's like I said, it's been amazing to see you do I do these conventions for y'all.
Yeah,
and I'll order a few copies, and they'll a few shows they'll just sell right out on day one or day two, and it's just like, wow. And then people will come up asking about it, and it's still not not the same sales as Alien or Blade Runner, but it's just interesting to see that because we've been putting out these IPs, that it's shown interest in a lot of the titles that we've put out years ago. So yeah, it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Symbaroum, probably should have another sim here on the on the channel here at some point with Matthias. But do you want to talk a little bit about Symbaroum? I know that folks are asking about the 6th Chronicle that Matthias is. I don't know how far along he is on it, but I think it's pretty well done as far as I know. But you want to talk a little bit about the plans for Symbaroum?
Sure. Yeah. Like you said, Matthias is the one with the details, but definitely I know that the final 6th installment of the big campaign is, I think it's in translation right now. He's finished writing it. I think the art is being produced. So the idea is to have, like for the others, we do a pre-order once the PDF is done, and that should be in I don't know, hopefully about a month or something like that. And then it goes to print. So we should have it out in print form before the end of the year, and in PDF before in the month or two. So that's coming. And then beyond that, there is stuff happening. Of course, once that final part of the campaign is out, it's going to be a major milestone for the game. And what happens after that, that's something we'll get back to. But it's definitely also, Symbaroum, just like Coriolis, is one of our very own IPs and franchises. So we're not giving up on it by any means. So there will be more after the massive campaign, but right now the focus is to complete the Chronicle of the Throne of Thorns campaign. So that's the main focus, and that's going to be a pretty big event when it happens.
So Matthias isn't just going to because he's been working on this for how many years at this point? It's almost been like 9 years at this.
Yeah, something like that. The original there, because that was before they were part of Free League, but their first edition of Symbaroum in Swedish came out also in 2014, same year as Mutant Year Zero. I think it was released in English 2 years later or something like that. So it's, he's been working on this for a decade. So it's a big thing. Yeah.
He won't know what to do with his time once he's done that six. What's going to do?
He'll start a new one, I guess. Another massive campaign, 6 more parts.
Another line that is kind of tied to Symbaroum is Ruins of Symbaroum, which is the 5e equivalent of the setting. And I had a couple of the new adventure books show up, the Adventure Compendium and the Call of the Dark. So there is more content that is out there for this line. So it's really awesome to see. Do we have any plans for Ruins of Symbaroum that we can share?
Sure, yeah. I think speaking of the big Symbaroum campaign, what we will want to do, and I think we are working on, is to adapt that campaign, Chronicle of the Throne of Thorns, to the Ruins of Symbaroum, the 5e version. We'll probably repackage it a bit. It won't likely be 6 parts. I think it might be 3 parts. We're not cutting stuff out. We're just combining it differently. Since the original 6 parts of the campaign, these books also included additional rules. So we're cutting that out because those additional rules are incorporated into the core books. So we're splitting it up, or maybe it's 4 books. Matthias knows better. But anyway, that's kind of the idea to move forward with, of course, the big campaign to release that for the 5e version as well. And it's, the 5e version is doing well. Of course, there's always those who will prefer the original system, but then I think having that 5e version really opens up the game to more players, and I think the conversion is there's a guy called Jacob Rogers who did the main conversion work, and he did a really good job. So I think it's a nice addition to the Symbaroum universe and line.
Absolutely, it's been amazing to see how many 5e players have flocked to it, and as soon as they pick up the books, they're just like, "Oh, I want it all." It's like it very rarely sells just one book at a time. People are usually buying it all in one shot, which is really awesome to see for 5e players that they really want to dive into the setting. Tales from the Loop. Let's talk a little bit about that. We've announced a little while ago that there is a pre-order for They Grow Up So Fast, which is a new adventure book for this RPG. People were kind of surprised that we made this announcement that there was new material coming. Is there any other plans? Can you discuss maybe the pre-order and anything else that we might have going on?
That's one of the game lines that also one of our kind of earliest games. And we haven't put out a ton of stuff lately. But we always intended to keep the line going. And this They Grew Up So Fast, written by Oz Mills, we actually had this manuscript for quite some time. But it's, for a variety of reasons, we didn't quite get it together until now. So now that's finally coming out. So I think that is at least one a little bit. We always say that we will continue to support our game lines, and we always try to do that. I think at least this helps to show that we actually also do that, even these a bit older game lines that have not been seen that much love perhaps in later years. But this is a really nice new campaign book for the game, and it's looking great, and it's going to print just we're now basically setting it to print, and it'll be out later this year. And so that's kind of what's next for that.
Excellent. Of course, the One Ring that we announced a new adventure book for this as well. The Ruins of the where is it? It is.
It's not on the store yet.
It's not on the store. Oh,
no,
okay.
Not just yet. It's coming soon though. But it's we're actually waiting for some maps. We have a very our map artist for this line is Niklas Brandt, and he's been very busy doing all kinds of stuff.
Nice.
And he's now digging into. Otherwise, I think the layout is pretty much done. The art's done. You're just doing the maps, and once that is done and approved, we'll put up a pre-order for it. But it's looking really nice, and it's kind of a companion to Ruins of the Lost Realm. This Tales from the Lone Lands. It's also a bunch of scenarios set in Eriador, so the same area as Ruins of the Lost Realm, but instead of these landmarks that you get in Ruins of the Lost Realm, these are a bit more traditionally structured adventures in the same area. So I think it's a really nice companion to play alongside, using Ruins of the Lost Realm and Tales from the Lone Lands to have your campaign set in the lands of Eriador. So very nice to work with. I mean, this is obviously Francesco Nepitello is not the lead writer. That's Gareth Hanrahan is the lead writer for this book, who does great work. Francesco is involved, of course, and I'm involved, and the team of artists for this has done a phenomenal job. So it's really nice to see these books coming together.
John Gus would like to ask, and I know this has been asked in the chat a couple times, so I feel like I should probably bring it on and ask this for the community. When will we see a Moria? When will we see Moria for the One Ring?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think we've mentioned it before. Moria is definitely something we are looking at. I don't have news today on that front, but it's definitely, in the works. It's something we have our eyes on that. We don't have a definite, news today on when and how, but it is,
it's on our radar.
It is on our radar, and it is, unless something goes horribly wrong, it is coming.
Nice, excellent. Of course, we also put out the Lord of the Rings 5e. This is the 5e version of this One Ring game, and it is available for pre-order right now. Still, you want to give any updates on that for folks that maybe have pre-ordered or that are thinking about picking this up?
It's on pre-order, as you said. We actually have a new nice little website if you want to check that out for it. We haven't really announced that yet. We'll get to that. But it's actually already up right now with a nice trailer. There was this cool event in at the LA Comic-Con in December where they played for a live audience the game, which was really cool. So we have some video from that, so you can check that out. There's going to be more of that, so you can really get a sense of the game. Yeah, I mean, this, of course, is the 5e version of the One Ring, Lord of the Rings role-playing. We are gonna, first we have the core book, and then Shire Adventures, which are the ones that are up now. But then the plan is to kind of shadow shortly after. So the Ruins of the Lost Realm and Tales of Eriador, the One Ring books that we have, one is out, one is coming. We will, down the line, as soon as we can, also convert those two to 5e. So you can play whichever rule system you prefer. We're not, prioritizing one over the other. Really, we want to give the choice to players. So we'll basically everything you'll see for the One Ring, we're planning to do for Lord of the Rings role playing as well.
And that's going to be two separate. Someone asked in the chat if the Lost Lands if it was going to be have both One Ring and 5e, but they're going to be two separate products for those lines.
Yes, that's the idea. Yeah, we'll keep them separate so it's easy for. easier for players who want the one system and not the other to get a book that is only for their preferred system. So that's the idea, to keep them as separate lines, but with the same core content, just different rules.
Excellent. Another game that's been super popular that people are seeing a lot of nostalgia, and it brings it's like kind of bringing back a community that of gamers that kind of felt like they didn't have a new edition, and they've really kind of come around this whole this new Twilight 2000 edition that we put out. I know that we have Urban Operations available for a pre-order on our website. Do you want to give folks a little bit of an update on that product, as well as maybe future plans for Twilight 2000?
Yeah, I mean, Urban Operations is printed and done. We haven't gotten a copy here yet, but it should be arriving some samples soon. And it's also going over to the warehouses and should start going out to everyone who pre-ordered it, in April, hopefully. So in the next month or so, it should start arriving. And it's going to be pretty cool. I think one of those things that it's a boxed set. It's got lots of cool stuff in it. It's not just an adventure. It's pretty big expansion to the game with new plots and new factions and adventure sites and all kinds of things to expand a Twilight 2000 campaign. So, and it's been great to see them. There's so much activity around Twilight 2000 in the community content being done like all the time. And I think, of course, with a new edition of a beloved game, it's always a bit controversial with the new system, with those kinds of. But I think, of course, there's a variety of opinions out there. But I think for the most part, it's been people have really come around. There are lots of cool streams and podcasts and actual play reports and stuff. So it feels like the community has really come around and it's really enjoying this new version, which is great to see. And as for the future, I'm working with Chris Lights, who is the lead scenario writer. He's now putting the final touches on the texts for Hostile Waters, which is the next supplement for the game. So he'll probably send that over in the next couple of days or weeks, I think. And we'll get started on editing the artwork and the other stuff. And we'll as soon as we have something more to show, we'll definitely show you more for Hostile Waters. Definitely during this year, you should look forward to seeing what that includes down the line.
Excellent. And then last but not least, this is a IP that or a product line that has just taken off in the last year plus, and it's just so niche, and people are just so into it. Whenever they see the core book or any of these books, they just flock to it at conventions, at the stores. Vaesen, I know folks are kind of curious as to what we have planned for Vaesen going forward.
Yeah, I mean, we did 2 releases in the fall, first Mythic Britain and Ireland, and then Seasons of Mystery. So those are still fairly fresh. Then going forward, we have, a couple of ideas. I mean, 2 things that are in the works. First, we have a campaign book, which we'll have not announced just yet, and it's a little bit too soon, but pretty soon in the next couple of weeks or a month or so, I think we'll be able to announce that one. It's going to be a campaign book in any case with a number of mysteries in a cohesive campaign. So it's not like Seasons of Mystery, which has 4 mysteries that are kind of independent. This is like one campaign which you play one after the other. So that's being worked on, and we're it's going to be really exciting. And after that, we have another geographical source book planned, like same kind of format as Mythic Britain and Ireland, but for a different region. We just had earlier today, we just had a good meeting about that one. Nice. So we haven't really gotten properly started, but we definitely have. It's taking shape now. So in the next year, I think we'll have that one out as well for expanding the game to a new region of the world after the Mythic North and Mythic Britain, Ireland. So that's also coming. So definitely those two, and then some other ideas beyond that. But basically, those are the two that are happening right now.
Excellent. I think that's all of our lines that we have out. Of course, there's some other lines that we put out for the cartel and for Chris McDowell with Into the Odd, and I feel like we can't really speak on those behalfs. I don't know about you, but I think
that's probably we're definitely doing more. We're working with them continuously, but that's how the arrangement works with. For Morkborg and Cyborg and Into the Odd and Death in Space, it's really up to them. It's their game. We're just publishing it, so it's up to them what they want to do with it. So really, we are not in control there. So it's better if you want to know the future for those games. It's actually better to ask them than me.
Sure. Before we've got a little bit of time left, but before we take some community questions, I'll give it a little bit of time, and if folks want to put some questions in there, I'll try to get them answered before we sign off. Do you want to address like any concerns that people might have that Free League as a company has grown, too fast, and that we're not that maybe we've got too many irons in the fire, so to speak? Do you want to speak to the community and just kind of let them know what? Just speak on that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think there was this video up that addressed that brought some concerns after, I think, regarding kind of not because of The Walking Dead as such, but kind of that we're doing another licensed game and maybe doing too many and not supporting and of course I can certainly see that where that concern comes from. I mean, of course, we have quite a few lines already, and bringing in another one and another license. I mean, are we just putting on too much? I can see how it can kind of look like that way from from the outside. Absolutely, I totally get that. But a couple of things on that. I think one thing is if it looks like we're doing that kind of just to pull in more, more licenses to kind of get more revenue or something. It's not. I mean, I think it's important to kind of understand where we come from as a company. I think we always did. I mean, Free League, even 10 years ago when we started out, was always we did always cooperate with others. We always worked with other creators. I think at least the original team of 4 who founded Free League, we were always more kind of game designers, players, not world builders. That came in as a stronger component, I think, actually with Tim Janring, and who are kind of a bit more on the world building side. So even the first games that we did that were only available in Swedish, Svavelvinter and Spelet om Morwell, there were 2 Swedish fantasy titles that we did before Mutant Year Zero. They were both based on a series of fantasy novels. So they were also not original. They were licenses, if you will, but of course they were very, small, and there was just a partnership with a single writer, but still they were technically licensed. We created games in someone else's world, and that's just because that's kind of what we enjoy. It's creating a gaming experience in a setting, and for us, it's been more interesting to focus on creating the gaming experience than the setting. That's, I mean, personally, that's the way it's been for me and for at least the original Free League team. So that's this thing about, and a game like Mutant Year Zero, also a license, small one, but still a license. Tales from the Loop, that was a partnership with Simon Stollenhag, who created the world. We made the game based on it. So it's really ingrained. I mean, taking on another license is not something new or strange or different. That's basically what we've been doing all the time. So that I think that's maybe good, not something we're changed or that we're doing just now, just bringing on licenses. It's kind of the way we've been working, because that's what we enjoy doing. I mean, for me, being able to create a game in the Blade Runner setting and the Alien setting, that's just, I couldn't ask for something more fun than that. I mean, personally, that is more enjoyable to me and more exciting than creating my own cyberpunk game or my own space horror game, because it's just like, an honor and a lot of fun to work in those iconic worlds. So that's our take on licenses. I mean, we enjoy doing them. We've always been doing them. So, and as for doing too many, I mean, that is, we get excited about games. I mean, I think that I hope that's obvious, but that also means that we kind of get excited about more new games. And that is perhaps a drawback, but it's always been like that as well, that we kind of get excited about new stuff and want to do more things, try new things. So we're not the kind of, publisher who would just stick with one title and just push out more content for that one game. I think that's not what we do want to support our titles, but we also want to do new things, new games. It's just who we are. I don't think that's it's not that easy to change. So, but that is definitely, of course, it has its drawbacks, but because it means that the catalog kind of grows and we have to manage it. And that is combined with another thing. And speaking to if we have grown too fast, I don't think we have grown that fast. I think that's kind of part of the problem, really, that we have not taken on lots of more staff. We're still pretty much the same team. We do work with more people, yes, but we have not grown a lot as a company in terms of numbers. We're still very much hands-on. I mean, us, the original founders, we're still working as project managers, writers. We still write the games, we edit the games. When we work with freelancers, we're still editing. We're kind of deeply involved in the production work. And we want to keep it that way, because if we would kind of let the company grow and bring on more staff and outsource things, we feel that we would not, we couldn't ensure the kind of quality that we want and make sure the games are the way we want them to be. So keeping that kind of control is important to us, but it also, of course, it has the drawback of the simple fact that we're only so many. So being excited about new things, but at the same time not really, still wanted to be hands-on when we're producing them. That does create a challenge as time goes by, obviously, because we get more and more game lines, and we still want to be in charge of them. So that is the challenge for us, and we are working on different ways of overcoming that and making sure we're still supporting the lines that we have. So that's what we're trying to do, but it's completely, that is a challenge. I think that is our main challenge, really. But we feel it's better this way than to kind of bring on lots more staff to just push out lots more content for a title without being really in control, making sure it's really the way we want it. And the other way would be to stop making new games and just focusing on a few of the game lands that we already have. And I think that wouldn't really be Free League either. I think we'll always want to be, looking for new things, new games to do, because that's what we enjoy doing. I mean, that said, though, we will cool it a little bit. I mean, we're not actively chasing anything. We do have some ideas, but there's nothing on the near horizon. Sure. We are focusing now on consolidating what we have and focusing on the game lands that we have for the future. But we will make another new RPG sometime for sure. I mean, I don't think we would not be Free League if we stopped doing that.
Bobby Ellis actually has a good question. Going off this point, is it possible to give us a bit of insight into how Free League decides what properties we would like to license?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it kind of varies. It's usually it's an idea that comes up from mostly from historically it's been because it's been a property or a license that we'd like to do, and then we talk about it internally, we pitch it and talk to someone who might, and if it seems like it's possible to do, then we just have a big talk about it, and usually if one or two people in the team is really passionate about it, the others will tend to say, well, okay, then let's see how it goes. That's kind of how it works. And we won't really do a new license or any new game unless at least a few of the core team are super passionate about it. So that's kind of how that works. There is no formal process, really. Of course, we make a formal decision at some point, but it's mostly the license has to be right. The property needs to feel someone needs to feel passionate about it. It needs to kind of fit with the type of games that we do. I mean, for example, The Walking Dead, I think feels like a good fit with our sandbox exploration, survival type of games that we've been doing it. So it fits really well in that sense. So, but yeah, it's yeah, I guess that's a bit of insight, but it's kind of a messy process. It doesn't have there's no
structure to it that it has to go.
Structure. No, it's more of it's a lot of discussions and a lot of talk and a lot of but eventually it boils down to a decision whether we want to do it or not.
Nice. Let's get to some of these community questions that folks have. I'm no professional. Asks, any news on the Stockholm stretch goal adventure for Vaesen?
Yes, that is a good question, because that's actually on me, and that is, I'll be completely honest and say have started, but it's fallen a bit behind. So that's on my to-do list. But it's Vaesen is a game that is really part of it's not I didn't write the game. It uses the user engine, but it's since it wrote the game. But it's really one game that I enjoy creating for and being involved with. So I'm definitely committed to doing this. I mean, the idea is actually this Stockholm adventure that I'm planning is we have an idea to make it into a complete book, kind of a city focused campaign book. That's and it's not the one I discussed previously, because that one is much further along. It's basically all written. This is not, but it's coming along. So yeah, we do have some nice ideas, but it's a bit of one of those things that I have not really had the time to complete yet. I wish I was further along than I am. So this is a bit of a bad conscience for me, but it is coming.
Yeah, excellent. Ben Whitehead, and I know Killhard also kind of asks a follow-up question to this one as well. Ben wants to know any more tie-in cinematic scenarios alongside future Alien novels, and then Killhard would like to follow-up question of that is, are there any plans to make those cinematic scenarios in the back of the novels? Is there any plans to put those in like a compendium, a book all by themselves?
Right. Yes, I think there is one. Actually, I think there is a new tie-in cinematic like that coming really soon. We should have something news on that up very soon. I mean, I think I don't have the details, in my mind right now, but I think there is a novel coming out.
Like, I think I saw something. It was like the enemy of my enemies.
Have been out, really.
I know I saw a post.
That's definitely coming. Yeah, I don't have the details in front of me right now, but yes, there is coming. As for putting them into a compendium, that'd be nice. They are actually available separately, at least one, and I think we'll add more in the League of Free Agents, our organized play program. There, if you're part of that, you can access a bunch of free PDF scenarios for most of our game titles. We'll add more as we go along. And actually, the first tie-in cinematic that was in a Titan novel is available there. So if you want to have, that's actually, I mean, of course, the main purpose of the League of Free Agents is organized play at conventions or game stores or wherever. So that's what it's for. But of course, there are also scenarios there. So if you join that program, you'll get access to them, and nothing stops you from playing those with your own group at home either. I mean, that's perfectly fine. So they are available separately. But we, of course, also, why not, buy the Titan novel and read that and then play the scenario.
Sure. Ecorin Role-Playing and World-Building has a question. What's your process for hiring writers?
That is, yeah, I mean, we do get quite a few questions from people who'd like to write for us, and that's great. There's a lot of talent out there. It's usually, though, it's that we have a specific project in mind that we need to find the right writer for, it doesn't hurt to just drop us an email, and say hello, and just send something that you've done, and let us know what you're passionate about, what you like to do. Because even though that doesn't immediately result in, yes, here you go, please write this for us, we save we save that information for later. So if the right project comes along at a later time, we can always go back to these emails and these and basically, this person would probably be a good fit for that project, and then we can. So now, I mean, actually, I mentioned the new cinematic scenario for Alien that we're doing. Actually, that writer who will present later on, I think he reached out to us. It's probably 2 years ago or something, about something that at the time we couldn't really do anything with, but we thought that what he had done was interesting. We felt that had potential, and now, like 2 years later, we actually reached back out to him again because we had a project that would fit, and now we're working with him on that. So that can happen. So I think that even though you don't get an assignment or something right away, that doesn't mean it's still worthwhile just sending in your information if you have something that you want to show us or do.
But don't submit any ideas for the alien, like, oh, I've got this idea for I want to write this scenario that explains like this whole cinematic scenario. Don't submit that. That's not something we want. We would just want to see some sort of maybe a portfolio or something, but don't submit us any ideas. I'm guessing. I guess that's probably one thing we want to make sure that we're clear.
It's probably better to send something you had, because we're always looking for see what you have done in the past, if you have done something yourself, even if it's just like some PDF at drive-through or something, but so we can see what kind of things that you have done in the past. And I think one thing that we're always looking for is writers who because you can be experienced and even have written a lot of RPG material, but the way freely games are structured is a bit different from other games. Maybe at least some titles have fairly specific formats, and we're looking for always writers who seem to kind of grasp how the specific games actually work. So it can often help if you have written something like a 3D workshop community content thing for that specific game. I mean, we can look at that and see, okay, is this material does that work? Does this writer seem to have kind of really grasped how this game works and how scenarios for it work and so on? So that's always very good to have as a reference.
Sure. Erdnace23 asks, have the recent unfortunate events in Eastern Europe caused problems for Twilight 2000 support? If so, is there any way to shift the focus of the game somehow?
Problems for support, not really in terms of production. We have continued working on urban operations and the other stuff. We haven't really slowed down. What we haven't done is we haven't done very much like marketing and PR for it. You won't see a lot of Twilight 2000 imagery and stuff on our channels, and that's by design. We just don't feel still, even though it's been over a year now, that it's kind of the kind of imagery that we want to kind of push out through our channels. Because some people in the community might, feel uncomfortable with that at this point. Others don't, and that's fine too, but then they can come and actively seek it out. So that in that sense, we have been a bit more, laying a bit more low on the marketing kind of PR side of things. And that might, that means you don't hear so much about the game, that you might think that it also means we're not doing that much, but that's not really the case. We're pushing on with the plan exactly as it was before, because I can understand that it's a game that you might not want to play at this time, or it is a game you want to play at this time because it's a way of everyone is different. Everyone reacts differently, and it can be. This is not a game about current events. It is it's an alternate history game. You don't need. I mean, of course, you can draw parallels between what's happening in the world right now, but you can also just play it as the fiction that it is. Sure. So it's entirely, I think, up to the group and the players whether you want to play it or not, just like any other game. So. No, and shift the focus of the game. I don't know if that would mean like geographically or something, because I maybe. And yeah, I mean, there is the way there's two settings now. One is Poland, one is Sweden. It's Europe, but it's not Ukraine. It's not the same. Yes, we do have some ideas of other geographical areas to explore, but I think for now we're just gonna move ahead. And I think the community around the game is strong, and the support for the game is strong. So. Even though we're not marketing it heavily, I think it's still doing well, and we'll continue to support it.
Joe O asks, any updates in the delivering Ruins of the Lost Realms to Canada? We seem to be awaiting some time for that for final fulfillment. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we do. I mean, that is a piece of news that we're shifting. We are now moving our. We had two distributors in the US who also shipped to Canada. One of them was for web store orders. We're now shifting over to another distributor, fulfillment partner for the web shop orders, which this could potentially. And also, if this is a Kickstarter order that it refers to, I mean, those should have been shipped out long ago. But if not, that's I'm not aware that there is still like a major issue with Canadian orders in general. That's not my understanding. But of course, there might be specific orders that are not shipped, and we're working through those. We did have some issues, definitely, with US and Canadian, specifically Canadian orders in the fall. I think that's mostly resolved. That's my understanding. But of course, there might still be some cases that are still ongoing. That's unfortunate, and we're definitely working through all of those. And normally you'll get replies from our support staff within 24 hours on the weekdays. It does happen for some reason that in some cases that does not happen, but it's definitely what we try to do. I mean, we're definitely not actively ignoring anyone. If someone does not get a response, it's by accident, not by design.
We should definitely give a shout out to Daniel and Jenny, who do great work there.
Yeah, they work really hard, and they have some other people brought on now as well. And they are
okay, nice.
Yes, they are very diligent, really trying to do the very, very best they can, and they do. And in the few cases where some unfortunately have not gotten responses as quickly as they would have wanted, it's definitely just by mistake. Sometimes it's because an email got stuck in a spam folder. That these things happen, but it's or sometimes it's because it was not done for some reason. But it's definitely only by accident if that happens in a few cases.
Now, one question that I know has been asked on a couple of Kickstarters that we have is that previously we've used Funnigan for distribution, and they've announced that they're closing up their fulfillment company, their side of things. Can we talk about, maybe have we thought about who we're going to shift gears towards for fulfillment for Kickstarters going forward? Is that something that we can talk about just yet, or put you on the spot? But
we'll have a proper announcement about this pretty soon. But we are working with a new partner who will be managing webshop orders in the future, not just yet, but soon. They're called Whalebacker, where that's happening in a while. So we're moving stock over now. But it's not done yet. In the meantime, we also have our other distribution partner in the US, which is the Flat River Group. Right. They do distribution to retailers and distributors. So that's kind of the division of things. But in the meantime, Flat River Group are also now shipping webshop orders as a kind of but it can mean some disruption because we're shifting over and that can cause some disruption. Hopefully, not too much. And as for fulfillment on Kickstarters, the ones we have coming up, the one coming up now is next one is Forbidden Lands, the Book of Beasts, and that will be fulfilled by Flat River Group, who we've been working with for a long time. So they are a known and trusted partner. So that I don't see any problems happening with that one. So that I think that will work out well. They will also manage the Dragonbane Kickstarter fulfillment in the summer, because we're already deep into planning that one. So, and after that, we'll see what happens. But so that's kind of the plan for the Kickstarters coming up right now. Yeah, I mean, we had some issues with Fun Again, but I mean, they did the best they could. Unfortunately, they're shutting down operations. So. So we're finding a different partner, and as we do that, we'll also, of course, try to improve things and make sure things are even smoother going forward. Because but distribution and fulfillment is it is hard work. I kind of have to remember that, and it is sometimes not. It's one of those jobs that it's getting noticed when it doesn't work. When fulfillment works, nobody really notices, because then it just works and the way it's expected to. So it's kind of it can be hard for people in that line of work, because they get their work gets noticed when it's not working, which is not always great. So I think they do a lot of hard work that might not always be seen. So, but yes, that said, we have had problems that are not acceptable. So we are definitely changing things now with a new partner to make sure that it will be smoother going forward.
Excellent. And then I think one final question. There's been a lot of chat about giving praise to Daniel and Jenny in the chat, so that's always great to hear. Thank you so much. Also, there's been some chatter about free league licenses that maybe we should take on that are totally ridiculous, and that you'll have to go into the chat and see what when you get a second after we're done. The final question though we'll take is from Roberto. He would like to inquire why we can't ship to Brazil, and maybe changing our shipping policies. They've got a lot of I know, just dealing with a lot of online communities of our games, there are quite a few fans in Brazil and that are looking that are huge fans of what we do. Would you like to speak a little bit on that and explain the reasoning for that policy?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is not a new thing, but it's really unfortunate, because I know Brazil has a strong, gaming community, and there are lots of Free League fans, and it's a big country with fandom that is so it's unfortunate that we can't ship there. I think the reason is. The specific reason is that the partner that we have used for distribution for that, they cannot guarantee shipments actually arriving to so they have basically said we can't ship there, and there have been issues with customs primarily. It's a lot of, I won't go into detail, but basically it's been situations where some recipients of orders have been asked to pay very large amounts of money to get things through customs, and even if they want to turn it back, they're still being asked money. So it's been a couple of bad cases like that led to the decision that unfortunately it's just the risk is too high. I wish that was not the case, and hopefully it can change going forward, but we'll see now when we have a new fulfillment partner in the US, which is at least on the same hemisphere, whether they can do something. We'll see. I don't have a new answer at the moment, but a few we have had this issue. I don't know why it's the case, but it's a customs issue, and hopefully it'll improve, but I don't have any news on it. It's just the way it is for the moment.
Excellent. All right. I think we're going to probably wrap it up here. If anybody asks any questions about upcoming products or anything, we discussed that earlier in the session, so please feel free to go back and review that. yeah, I want to thank everyone for coming out. We've got quite a few. We've got 150 plus people that tuned into this, and we greatly appreciate it. And I know it'll get a lot of views in the on demand afterwards. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. I mean, in the comments below. We'll try to address them as we can. But yeah, we plan on tend to do these occasionally. We try to do them, every so often. So feel free to, drop us a line in the comments, and we'll try to address them as we can, or just add that question to an upcoming update. Tomas, is there anything else you'd like to say before we sign off?
I don't know. No, I think we covered a lot of stuff. No.
We did. I appreciate you giving so much time. Usually we try to keep these under an hour, and we've gone over this for this session. So I appreciate you giving time. I will be at PAX East if anybody would like to stop by in Boston and chat about our games. I'd love to chat with you. I love all these being at all these events for you all, and connecting with our communities there in those different regions all over the U.S. So if you're in Boston later on next week, feel free to stop by. All right, that's going to do it. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. We will see you all next time. Hope your dice rolls don't need to be pushed or something. I don't know. We're trying to figure something out. Some sort of non-awkward sign-off. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.